Greetings. We are excited to be here. Create Love listeners, we are excited to be here at what we are calling Love Radio. At Create Love for Women Who Love Women, we are expanding and growing, and we're just excited about that growth. So we decided that we wanted to come to you in a new way. We're doing new things. Isn't that right, Sharon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we are going to today bring you an exciting panel that my cohort and business partner and best friend is going to share more about with you. But I just want to take a moment to talk to you all about Create Love, who we are and what we're about. You know, we started this vision in September of 2012, and oh my goodness, it has just taken off like a freight train. It was bigger than we even imagined. It was one of those things like build it and they will come. If you build it, they will come. And that's what the experience has been about for us. Create Love for Women Who Love Women is about empowering women and empowering sustainable, healthy relationships. This is about us, for us, by us. And we're just excited at the different things that we've been able to share with our community. So we have the Create Love website. We have a Create Love group on Facebook that is growing by leaps and bounds. We're currently a community of over 2,300 women. Wow. I just didn't even know there were 2,300 lesbians out there. I'm just saying. That's just me. But I'm excited to know it. That's it. And so today we're bringing you a show talking with studs, stud identified, masculine identified, you know, whatever you call it. I'm just saying I'm a fan of the stud. So I don't really care what you call it. You know, if you be that, I'm into that. So there's that. But I'm going to pass it on to Sharon Jameson, Minister Sharon Jameson, who is going to share more about what today is about and get us right started.
Well, good evening. I'm so excited to be here. A couple of weeks ago, we had a wonderful program called Unveiling the Stud Mystique. And we had a chance to meet some powerful women who identified as studs, boy, or just more masculine identified women. And there were a lot of questions and a lot of interest about studs who are also mothers, our parents. So we thought that we would bring in 4 amazing, sexy, tantalizing women to provide some overview and some education about their experiences and their perspectives as parents, more I would say non-traditional parents. We have one person named Sonia Ventura. Sonia Ventura, she identifies as a Poppy, a Puerto Rican Poppy. She has one son. She has been a basketball coach, and her passion is teaching high school and educating our youth. We also have Tasha Meredith, Dr. Tasha Meredith. She would identify herself as a stud, but not really, she says. She has 2 children, and her experience has been teaching financial application skills, and she also has an extensive history and experience in the military, and her hobbies are working out and home renovations. And then we have Erica Wright. She has 1 son, but she has also helped raise 5 kids, and her passion is doing work in the community to help with hunger and help with anything that promotes positive role models for men. And then we have Dee Barrow. She identifies as a stud. She has 3 kids, 2 boys and 1 girl, and she's also was a step parent to 1 daughter, and her passion is sports. Ladies, will you say hello?
Hello.
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 Fantastic. I'm so excited for this conversation. I should have started out with saying, but my name is Imani Evans, and along with Sharon Jameson, we are the founders of Create Love for Women Who Love Women. We are in our own areas of vision. We are counselors, authors, and social change agents in our community. We've been doing it. I don't even want to put the years together because it might break my lie about how I'm 25. So you know, I can't be 25 if I've been in the field for 25 years. So we will talk more about Create Love and what we have coming up at the end of the show. But right now we're going to just dive right in.
Well, I have a question that a lot of the people who attended the Unveiling the Stud Mystique, as more masculine identified women. Tell me, how do kids and their parents usually respond to you when you pick them up from school, or when you interact with them in the restaurants, or when you interact with their other kids? What has been your experience? Coach Sonia, I'll start with you.
My personal experience, I realized that kids are non-judgmental. They don't judge. They base their own opinions on how they feel about you. They don't pay attention to look. They just, if they like you, they like you, and that's it. Where the issue comes in is the parents. The parents put into the kid's mind the labels, the difference in people, and then that's what draws attention from the child to look at you differently. My experience. So kids, they're non-judgmental. If they like you and they relate to you, then they don't care what you look like or what you act like, or they just want to be around you.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
What would you say, Dr. Meredith?
I would have to echo everything that Sonia said. I also want to say that I don't have any biological children, so I'm also a step parent, if you will, to be when my fiance and I get married this April. So my experience is pretty much the same. The kids, they just want to be loved, and there is no difference until parents come in and give their perspective, and then that's when things seem to change sometimes.
Well, give me an example. When you say parents come and things change, Erica, what has been your experience? Do the parents come and tell the children to stay away from you? Do the parents seem uncomfortable? Do the fathers try to interact with you more? Do the mothers feel uncomfortable interacting with you? Kind of give us a picture of what that interaction looks like for the male parent, if it's a heterosexual relationship, and the female parent. How's that different?
I will speak on my experience with, I have a 16-year-old son, but when he was in Boy Scouts, I think about I think he was 9 years old, my experience with becoming a troop leader was a little difficult, because I remember one of the young ladies I can't say she felt threatened, but I can say that she was uncomfortable with me because of my sexuality being around the boys. But what I had to bring to the table was my expertise as far as not only being a parent, but showing that I am versatile and that I can maneuver in an area where I can be responsible with children. And so once I was able to show her that I was capable of being a troop leader, actually everyone else actually responded to me well. Even the male parents would, because actually they wouldn't even show up to support their own kids.
Wow, wow. It's interesting, Sonia. I have seen you as a coach, and I was always surprised that the male coaches would come and shake your hand, and the fathers would talk to you after the games, but the mothers were a little uncomfortable. Can you share more about that? How did you make the mothers comfortable, and why do you think the mothers have more discomfort than some of the fathers when it comes to coaching?
I mean, just because of the way I carry myself, men can relate a little bit more than the women can. Their conversations revolved around shoes and fashion, and the guys wanted to talk about, their son playing basketball and how good their son is and how I should recognize, and so they're a little bit more involved. I only coached boys. I didn't coach girls for a reason. But the fathers, they just can relate to me. They gave me the respect because they saw that I was able to coach. They saw that I was able to identify each talent in each kid. So that's where the males come in. The women, they weren't really involved in the basketball. They supported their kids. They clapped and stuff like that. But so they kind of just stepped away and just sat among themselves and just let me do what I do. Do I feel that they felt a little uncomfortable? Nah. You kind of get looks where they kind of look at you and just like, but then as parents, all you want is what's best for your child. So when they see that that's what you're doing and that's what it's about, then everybody's walls kind of start crumbling down. And then by the end of the season, they're having me over their house. They want me to spend the night, so yeah.
I'm always interested. Tasha, tell us, when you interact with the kids, do the kids usually ask you if you're a boy or a girl? Do they try to determine what you are? Do you find that the kids try to categorize you? And if so, how do you answer that?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I've had a lot of different experiences in that area. I've always dated before my current relationship, usually women with children, and before now was usually younger children. So I have had that question of, is Tasha a boy or is Tasha a girl? And honestly, I used to be offended by it. I would say in my less mature years, if you will. But as I grew to realize and understand, the kids, they're innocent. They just want to know, really, are you a girl? No, or are you a boy? And so when I break it down, I guess, and get on the child's level, then it really is that simple. And it's what I've learned is honesty is best. Some parents are not comfortable with you being honest with their children, but I think that's when you have to have a conversation with another parent if it's the parent's issue. As far as in our home, we're still blending our homes, but we, our youngest, Asia, is special needs. So she's nonverbal. So if she feels a certain way, I don't know, because she doesn't verbalize. But what I do know is that she shows me love just as much as her mom does, and as much as she shows her mom love. The oldest, I think, is a preteen, and we all know how preteens can be. So I think for me, I have to take myself out of the picture and just kind of look at it from the child's perspective. So when the questions of are you a boy or are you a girl come up, I just answer, I'm a girl. It's kind of that simple, but it really is just that simple for me.
I'm interested to hear about your perspective. I see, Erica, you like to wear ties all the time.
Yes.
So it would be interesting for Brandon. I'm sure when he was 8 and 9 years old, you came to school with a tie, and girls typically or stereotypically don't wear ties. Tell me about that experience.
Well, it's funny you say that. When Brandon was about 10, we were in Macy's, and I was looking for a gift for a young lady, and he said, "Mom, why are you in the women's section? You're supposed to go downstairs with the men's section." So we had that conversation. But he is comfortable with me because we have a dialogue. I've already explained who I am, and he respects that. And even his peers around him, they know who I am. I haven't really had the question per se from kids, am I a boy or girl, more so from adults. So that would be my experience.
Just real quick, kids work it out. They
Yes.
really
Yes.
do. Because Tariq, let me tell you about Tariq. Tariq will make comments like, my behind is, I lack in that department. and we've had conversations, and Tariq will be like, well, that's okay because boys don't have butts. Okay? But when he talks about me to his friends, I'm his auntie.
Right.
So you see what I mean? Kids will work it out on themselves, by themselves, as but when they're little and they ask the question, it's really just an innocent question. They just don't know. It's not a question of judgment. They just want to know.
Right.
You know?
I think adults convolute that for children by
Totally.
trying to go around and being dishonest. If you give them
Absolutely.
honesty, I agree with you.
It puts
that children
confusion
can-
in them because now they're
Sure.
like, you know what I mean? They will figure it out by themselves.
Right.
As long as you're showing them what they need from you, they will.
Yeah.
And forever. Again, his friends, his friends will come over to the house and, hey, Coach Sonia, do you have a pair of boxers I can borrow? You know what I mean? So it's like they just work it out on themselves. They just know, hey, Sonia is who Sonia is, but I know she wears boxers. I know if I need a t-shirt, boom, she has it. You know what I mean? So they work it out. And it's just unfortunate that the parents are the ones who start putting in their mind the differences.
Yes, I think that's fantastic, and that's great advice for the people listening. I have a question for Tasha because I am not a biological mom. It's not how I thought it would be, but I never sort of planned that in there. And now that I'm 25 plus 20, I'm just like exit only. I'm not. It's not happening.
Okay.
So I have a question for you as a non-biological step parent because I've been there. And it's a very precarious place coming into a family and blending and building the trust with the children. And I'm just curious, and sometimes you might meet someone in your time of dating women that you have different parenting styles, you know, and so, and then you not being a parent, sometimes, you know, our feelings might be invalidated because it's like, well, you know, you don't have children, you know. So I'm curious on what your experience has been in that vein, and what kind of philosophy do you apply to coming into a family and blending with them?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking, Imani. We're still blending, so we're still learning what our philosophy is, to be quite honest. We've been together for a little over a year now, and so as we learn each other, we're still learning the children are still learning us.
Sure.
But I have a very rigid military background, and so for me, of course, my way is the right way. And Elle has a more fluid approach, if you will, kind of letting the children learn as they go. But she is a disciplinary at the same time. So we're still kind of learning the approach. Right now, I have pretty much a hands-off approach. I step back. I let her, because in her last relationships, she's told me that she's always been the one who has taken care of the kids. And so I step back until, you know, it seems like it's a time where I just have to step in, and there are very many times like that. So we're still learning it, but I take a back seat approach.
I think that's a great approach, actually. And as a therapist, one of the things that I often share with couples blending families is that as the step parent, as a new person in their life, you really cannot come in being the disciplinarian. You really can't. Your job is to build trust with the children, which is a 1 to 3 year experience, and to support their parent. And you know, because you come in disciplining the children, you know, they don't trust your motivation. They know mommy might get on my nerves, but I know mommy been feeding me since birth, so I know she loves me. The stuff she had to do for me, I know she loves me. But this person, I'm not quite that sure about, you know. And children may not even be able to articulate that. So I think that's a great approach that you have.
Thank you. And I think for me, I think back on when I was a stepchild, and I know what my reaction was to my stepdad, and so I try to put myself in the kid's place and think how would I have received that when I was a stepchild.
Yes.
And so, and also I think the other I guess variable in that is the dad. Because if you have a totally different philosophy when the child goes with their father, then coming back, you kind of got to get reblended, reacclimated. So right now we're in the process of trying to blend, I guess, the family along with the dad. So 3 adults trying to raise these
that sounds
2
fun.
children. It's very fun.
Isn't it lots of fun?
Yes.
So Dee, with your experience, you have 3 biological kids, and also you were a step parent. What was that process like for you?
Well, I have to say that I'm way further along than everyone else in the room. Most of the children are grown now. I went from being married to a man and having 3 children to being involved with a woman with a child, and I always had maternal instincts, even though I wasn't a very feminine woman my entire life. And together with her daughter and my children, we were able to come to, well, I wouldn't call it an arrangement, but we decided prior to us blending how we would move forward in raising the children. Their father still being in their life. It was an issue initially, but they spend as much time with him as they do with me and with her. that seemed to have helped also, having the father figure still in their life, as well as now having two mothers. During the time we initially got together, though, my two youngest children were still babies. So this is basically what they knew. 14 years later, here we are with two grown children and two teenagers. The transition was not hard. Being a mother, you're always going to take care of your children, and you're always going to protect them, and especially being with another woman and having the same values as far as raising children, it made it kind of easy. It was just the other issues with the woman and the woman that caused the problem. It wasn't the children.
It's interesting when I talk to many lesbians who have kids. They say baby mama drama with two women goes to a third level.
Absolutely.
So, but it's
I can attest to that.
interesting as a gay woman, being a mother. I was also a mother, married to a man. It was always me, and him. And the other me was like the woman who looks like a man, only dates up women. So it was interesting. I would go somewhere. My son he would have to try to explain it, but he worked it out.
Mhm.
And it was always, mommy, her, and dad. But however, but it was interesting. How did your children explain it? My son just kind of made up things. Sometimes it was the aunt, sometimes the mama's woman, sometimes, because we would all be at the basketball games, me with my wife, and his dad with his wife, and my son worked it out. What has been any of your experiences, or have you had any situations like that?
I mean, again, Tarek, it all depended on who he was talking to and who he felt comfortable. There were some friends that he had that, that he said, yeah, that's my, he would call me his dad. He'd be like, that's my dad. Sometimes he would tell his dad that I'm his dad. And that didn't go too well. But, and then there were some people that, I don't know, he didn't trust. So he didn't want to tell them who I was. He would just say, that's my aunt. So, I would like to think that that's how kids work. They work it out themselves and they do it on however they're feeling. But Tarek is definitely an example of that. That boy works it out in his head any way he wants to, and it works for him. And never have I corrected him. Never have I asked him about it. I just let him be him. And even to this day, still my best friend. So. Yeah.
So Eric, I see you a lot with Brandon, and so how do you kind of play that role, because daddy has a girlfriend, his dad, then you have a girlfriend, so now it's like three women and one guy parenting one child. What was that experience like?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, and I kind of got to go back a little bit. We're talking about, I was dating a woman with 3 children, and I had to make sure that we communicated on how we were going to blend the family together, because I'm coming in with my son and she has 3 boys, and not only that, their father was very active in their life, so I wanted to make sure that he wasn't threatened by me coming in. And I brought in, like Dee said, your mother instincts to know what was going on with the kids at what particular time and how to interact with them. And so I would always kind of blend the family together. I would say, hey, I'm going to cook Sunday. Ask Mark, he want to come over? And sometimes he would. So with Brandon now, he's older, and it's just another thing for him, because I think society now is evolving where everybody is seeing lesbians together, 2 men together. It's nothing. So even at his school, he'll say something like, Mom, on my birthday I'm gonna have 2 lesbians, and for him that's something that's funny, but at the same time he gives everybody their respect. So he definitely respects me and where I am.
Wow, it was interesting when I would be around Sonia and her son, that he would come to her and she showed him how to put on a condom and show him how to wear a tie. And what has been your experience? Did all of you, as more masculine identified women, did you have to do those father things, like this is how you put the condom on, about sex, about the tie?
Yes.
Because I never had to do that, because even though I I never felt comfortable.
Right.
So tell me, what has been your experience as providing that training that is stereotypically male training? Tell me about your experience and what type of advice would you give to other more masculine identified women who are more that role with dealing with male children? Because I want to ask you about the women children, but I know there's some differences around the male
You
children.
wait for them to come to you. You wait for them to have conversations where you feel comfortable to talk to them about those things.
Did they ask you about sex and you more
well, I mean,
masculine identified?
I mean, he would talk to me more than he would talk to everybody else, even his own father, just because of that comfort level. You know, Tarek is the type of, like, you know, she's the cool one. I could say anything to her and she's not going to react, and I wouldn't. I would just sit back and let him talk to me. So when he started talking to me about sex, that was my platform to say, okay, boom, this is what you got to do. Now, I'm not saying don't do it, even though I do want to tell you that, but I live in a realistic world. And I said, okay, if this is what you're going to do, then this is what I expect from you. And that's where the condom conversation comes in. And then, you know, how do you put it on? And then, you know, then I got to take out what I got to take out to show him. And, you know, so it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. But
Well, tell me. So, did you feel comfortable taking out your thing, as you said, to show them how to?
well, I
use a
never said
condom?
what it was. I just said, you know, it could have been a banana, could have been a cucumber.
okay.
You're
I think that's what I whole I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to understand.
I never.
I'm just trying to understand. You're talking about kids.
But I think just having the male energy is you're just comfortable with doing that around other males. So I mean, when your son comes to you, he's talking about girls because you almost, I mean, even though you're mom, you're still like that cool buddy.
Yeah.
So he can come and say, hey, you know, I'm thinking about this girl, I like her, and we had this conversation. Same thing with sex. I'm like, Sonya, I'm not telling you to do it, but you need to be careful. And this is how we go about talking about it. And today, the world that we live in today, you have to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Because if not, your son will come home and tell you stuff, and you're like, hey, where did you learn that
And I don't ever want to take
Sooner than
anything.
later,
I'm
for
sorry.
sure.
And I don't ever want to take anything away from the father. I would always
Right,
tell Tara,
definitely,
you
definitely.
need to go talk to your father as well.
That's
right.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Now, I would sometimes say you need to go talk to your mom, but I very rarely said that because her reactions on everything would just skyrocket.
right,
So
right.
I kind of, but you know, you have to at least give the father the respect
That's
and
true.
say, hey, you need to have these conversations with your father as well.
I think that's a fantastic point, because that's the other thing about a blended family is understanding that it is a blended family. So there are all the pieces, and whether you like the father or not, he still is an integral role to that child's development, period. Even an absent father is an integral role to the psychological development of a child, and that's something to really remember. And so, you know, I think it's critical for people to not badmouth the other parent. If you have to do that, because sometimes you have to do it, you need to send the child out of the room or have it at a different time. I have a question, because this is one of those things that I think about often, you know, not being a biological mom, that one of the things that frustrates me that I see are these like baby mama daddies that exist. Like, you've been with the woman for 6 months, and for 2 years you're still the baby mama daddy.
Oh,
You know?
I'm with you.
Like, this child now has about six
Story. That's another show.
stepmom daddies. And you know, their mom is in a whole nother relationship. He has a mother, a father, and 14 exes that are like still in the lives, buying clothes for school. You know,
Keep the clothes, though. Keep the clothes.
yeah, keep the clothes. I mean, for the mama, it's great. That's great to have a whole lot of people invested in that way. But it's a little extra to me. And I mean, that's my personal feel. I'm open to understanding that I might not be right about this, but it is something I think about, because I'm like, so my question to you is this: what do you see as the limit? Like, if you dated a woman for a month, 6 months, in terms of staying around as I'm calling it the baby mama daddy, because I don't really know what else to do. That's staying around. Do you have to have been with her for a year, 3 months, 6 months, 2 weeks? What is the mark, and what are your feelings about that?
Can I start on that?
Please.
Well, because I think I said a few minutes ago that I've tended to date women with children, so I've been the baby mama, daddy, several times. And honestly, when I moved to Atlanta in '99, when I turned 30 years old, I had just gotten out of a situation where the young lady that I was dating, her son turned probably 6 months when I moved to Atlanta. And it was the most devastating thing for me to separate from that relationship, but to separate from that child. And I said from that point on that I would not date women with children anymore. But it turned out that the type of woman that I'm attracted to and vice versa happens to have children. So what I had to learn to do was talk to my current partner about it and understand what their tolerance level was too. Because sometimes you can be with a person and they're like, well, it's fine, you can go around the child and whatever. But sometimes you might get with somebody who's like, I'm not with that. You guys aren't together anymore, so you're not with the child. So it's I think the bottom line is what's in the best interest of the child, because when you break up with someone, you're breaking up with that child too. And so I think even though the relationship should come to an end, it should be a gradual approach from that child, because you have to think about, if you have 14 exes, then that's 14 relationships that child has lost, has had to sever. So I have a bit of a different approach, I think, now, a more, I don't want to say nurturing, because I don't have that mother instinct that they're talking about. I have total male energy, and everybody always tells me that. So I think
okay, I thought it was just me. Okay,
no, I
don't think I have it naturally.
Okay. Yeah. So I think. So anyway, to answer your question, I don't know when enough is enough, but I think that what I've learned is to wait longer before I get vested in the children.
Yes.
In the past, I've met kids after a couple months. I mean, some women have introduced me to their children right away, but my respect level has increased for women that I've met in my last 2 relationships, where they made me wait, and I'm saying wait a long time to meet their children. So I had another level of respect for them. And unfortunately, like with my ex, like when the ties were cut with the children, period. It was devastating for me, but I mean, it is what it is. What can I do?
Do you want to say, I see you shaking your head.
Well, I haven't had experience in that regard. I mean, I did have a relationship that was 2 years old. She did have a child. But she decided that when we split that I couldn't see the child anymore. I mean, that was my one experience with it. It is devastating.
How long were you with her?
2 years.
Okay.
But it is it is devastating, and it's also not good for the child to continually bring people into their life. I mean, you have to be sure about what your intentions are with the person before you even involve them or allow your child to meet them, because every time somebody comes and goes in your life, they're coming and going in the child's life, and it's just like the child going through a divorce as heterosexual people would, and go through those emotional disconnections. So I don't think it's fair for women who do that and bring their child and allow their child to have to go through these 2-month relationships, 6-month relationships, and so on and so forth. You have to really consider your children in everything you do, as far as committing yourself to be in a relationship with somebody, and make sure that that person is compatible and you're really working towards being together, because the child is there. I mean, being single, I mean, hey, you do whatever you want to do, but when a child's involved, you really have to think about the children and the outcome of the relationship as far as the children's concerned.
Well, I have an interesting question, because I have a male child. But when I look at you women who are very masculine identified women, how is that interaction with your daughter? Because I can understand if I have a male son, my mom looks like a guy, hey, that's cool. But what happens if you are a girl and your mom looks like a guy? What is that experience? You both have daughters or stepdaughters. What is that experience? Here comes mom. Mom has on a tie. She has on some cufflinks, and she has on a suit. And her friends are saying, this is mommy.
Right.
Help me understand what that is like and how you have managed that. Because mommies don't usually wear ties.
I can speak on that for sure. My daughter's my biological daughter.
Okay.
She's very feminine. She's always been a girly girl. And when I came out, she was a baby, in diapers, not even one yet. So she's always known me to be who I am and who you see now. It was difficult once she started going to school, and once she started to see other children's moms when they came to school.
I can imagine.
I didn't come to a school in a tie, but I've always dressed in.
But you're very masculine.
Right.
You have that masculine energy. So
right.
Tell me about that.
It was difficult for her because she knows I'm her mom. She loves me for who I am, but at the same time, she identifies with more feminine women, and the women that I have been with, that she loves them. I mean, any woman that is feminine, that I haven't been involved with many women in my children's lives, but she really grasps onto the femininity of the other woman. And she used to say, "Mom, well, could you not come today?" And she'd come instead of you, because she was embarrassed. But as time went on, and that hurt me also, because I'm your mom. Hey, what do you mean this other one? But as time went on, and she started to really understand, and we started to have more dialogue when she got a little older. I mean, I'm speaking elementary school when this was going on, and my boys were the complete opposite, because I'm the boy. I'm out there playing basketball and football with them, and their friends think I'm the coolest mom ever. But my daughter, she had a few issues with it until we really started to have dialogue, and she really came to understand. And she has no issues or problems with me. We're in the mall. She's hugging me. I'm hugging her. I'm holding her hand. And, this is my mom. So now she's in 9th grade. She's in high school. She's been exposed to so many different people, so many different lifestyles. And she's totally comfortable with it. But it was definitely an issue because she looks like me, but she doesn't look like me.
Oh, I saw a picture of her.
Right. She definitely looks like me, and I do my best as far as the feminine qualities that I do have to instill those in her, but she still understands that I am who I am, and it's okay that you're my mom, but you still are like my dad. You know what I mean?
but I think that's a very real thing, because the truth of the matter is we cannot be everything to anybody.
Right.
Just like, and the same, and it's that way for our children. You can't be. So our role is to build a good village. And a good village is that village that it takes to raise a child. It's very serious, and there are lots of reasons to have to build a village. So if you have male children and you're a lesbian, we have to find men that we trust that can be in that child's life, because I don't care how many things you pull out. We don't know what those things are, Sonia. But however many things you pull out, we still are not actually men. And so, putting men in their lives that we trust, that you can say, you can go to this person, or a girly girl to say, I trust her. That's who you can do that with. I've been that person for masculine identified women and their children, and their daughters were like excited to be like, look at Mark Wahlberg. Isn't he fine? Yes, he is fine. They had somebody to do that with, because their mom would be like, and we talk about things. We go get our nails done, and we do all of those things together, and I can just see her face light up in doing those things. But it never takes away anything from the fact that her mother is her mother. But you do have to build a village.
It's really interesting having a male child. I kind of felt like Dee. I was kind of like the third wheel. My son always preferred the other parent. That's what I used to call her, the other parent. And, they got to know everything. I didn't get to know when he was smoking, drinking, sex. I was always known, found out things after the fact. And so I understand how you kind of push to the side because they want to hang out with the other parent. So I totally get that. But you have stepdaughters. What has your experience been?
So far, my experiences, it's been pretty interesting. In fact, just the other day when I picked Karma up, she's the oldest. When I picked her up from school, one of the kids said, "Oh, Karma, your mom's here," and she was very adamant in saying, "That's not my mom." And so she is still I think still learning how to deal with everything. But for me, what I've found is that the more confident I am in myself and who I am, the easier it is for everybody. Because there was a time, and I write about this in my book, but there was a time when I went through the lipstick lesbian phase, and I was believe it or not, and I was so uncomfortable. They'll be in the book. But I was so uncomfortable and I was so miserable, but I was trying to make other people happy. And so what I found is now that I finally found comfort in who I am and whose I am, so I can instill that in the kids. And it's not kind of a shove it down your throat, but it's more of like, well, it's me. I'm still cool. I'm still Miss Tasha. It's okay. And so Carmen is gradually getting used to it. Asia, like I said, she's nonverbal, but I think if she were verbal, she would because she just loves on me all the time. So, but she's younger, so it's different, I think, when you have different ages.
So what can we do as a community to try to provide some support and education for the kids who have parents who are non-traditional types of parents? And what type of advice can you give to other parents who are in your situation, trying to blend families or dealing with baby mama daddy drama, as Imani so lovely coined?
Well, I think a forum just like this and having the space to talk about it is one thing. But what I would like to see in the future also is something about special needs, because we have this special needs child, and like it's kind of like we're in the minority in the heterosexual world, and then when we come into the LGBTQ world, we're in even a smaller minority. So if we could provide a forum for that, because like she kind of like needs a support system, and we haven't found that support system yet, where there's other people like us who may have special needs children.
Interesting.
An advice that I would give, sometimes you just have to take yourself out of it. You know what I mean? You can't shove things down their throats. You can't shove your ideas and down kids. You just have to be natural, be comfortable in who you are, and just let the kids figure it out, because they will figure it out. Now, they're not always going to figure it out and it's always going to be positive. There might be some who just don't, for whatever reason, accept it or whatever, and that's part of it. But that's with any subculture of anything. There's always going to be some type of negative or whatever. But for the most part, I wouldn't even. It's like almost like I want to say, and then I want it to come out wrong. Like, don't put so much thought into it. Just let it be.
Let it be.
Because when you start bringing attention to it, that's what makes it different. Just let it be, and most times it's going to work itself out. I promise you. Kids are awesome.
I would definitely say love is the key factor for me. If you just go in any situation, whether it's your child or help raising your partner's child, just show that child love. Because sometimes you think that the child has their own way of thinking per se from one parent, but you're coming into a situation. So if you open that door up and say, hey, this is an endless possibility. I can be like coach, I can be your friend, I can be a part of mom too. So you just let that child see you as whatever they need to see you as, and they'll open up to you. And just definitely give them love.
Dee, your comment?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on everybody. Being authentic in who you are is really important, and having the courage to be who you are really is important for the child to see also, instead of hiding things. I think being true and being honest and being open with them, it helps them to grow, and it helps them not to be what is it called when the horses with blinders on? They can see that the world is diverse, and there are different types of relationships, there are different types of people, and it helps them to really understand and grasp that, and also respect the individuality of everybody. So I've always been open with my children about anything. They can ask me anything, and as long as they ask the question, then obviously they're willing to accept the answer, and dialogue is everything with children. I don't hide anything from them.
Okay, one last question.
I have another question. No, it was a question because I was talking to someone about this panel that we were going to do. Not going to help. That we were going to do, and this is a question that came up, and I thought, this is a question I have too. What about when you meet a woman, you really dig her, you really like her, and it's going there, so it's 6 months, and now you meet her children, and you're starting to hang out with her children, and you dig her extended family, and then she has baby kids. For those of you who don't know what baby kids are, well, most of you know what baby kids are. Those kids that are rowdy, because in working with seniors, I used to tell people, you assume that seniors are sweet and loving just because they're old, but no, if they were cantankerous when they were 40, they're cantankerous at 70. So
times 10,
because the filters are gone. And so it's the same with children. We love children. I would give my life for somebody else's child. I don't even have to know them. But let's keep it real. All children are great. Some of them are baby kids. So what do you do in that situation?
They're a package deal, first of all. You got to remember it's a package deal.
It is a package.
And if you can't work it out with those kids, then you need to be smart enough to be like, I gotta go. Because you are never going to come between a mother, or you would hope you can never come between a mother and their child. And if you can't tolerate those kids and you just want to be around the mom when the kids are not around, you need to just go ahead and cut that one off.
I had that same experience. I dated the lady with 3 kids, and when I first met her, she had two boys, and they were sweet. And then the third son came, and his father was having hard times, and he asked could he stay with. And I'm like, hey, one more was not gonna hurt. So that little boy was little boy from hell. but I noticed that he was yearning for attention. Sure. He needed that extra space for himself. And then coming into an already blended family with my son and then her two boys. So I had to go a little extra mile to give him a little bit more attention. And he finally came around, and I see him now. He's 19, 20 years old. He's a good kid. So, yeah.
I mean, it can be a challenge, but it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me because most children that do have behavioral issues, there's something underlying that's causing them. And like you said, Erica, a lot of times they're not getting the attention they need, they're not getting the discipline they need, they're not getting the love that they need. And when you are blending, these are the things you have to think about. I mean, the child may be great at the time, but certain things may go on in the course of the time that you're there as well, which will cause a child to have behavioral problems. So you just have to be involved and nurturing and be willing to accept that there will be challenges with any child in any capacity. And if you're willing to do that, then I say keep fighting for it. And if not, then move on, because you don't want to further damage the child by you not being involved and you not caring and you not showing any type of compassion towards what's going on in their mind and in their life.
Absolutely. I think, Sonia, I really love what you said as a sum up to that particular question, which is that you have to accept it's a package deal. And having kids in the mix, it raises the stakes. And it raises the stakes on, how you choose to approach dating, but it also raises the stakes in terms of how your commitment to your relationship, the walking in and out at the drop of a dime. I mean, I am of the personal belief that we have to have a license to drive a car. We have to be of a certain age to get, to drink and all of these different things, to vote. But you can just have kids and relationships at any time. See, I think there should be a law, but that's just my personal agenda.
Test that you
you have to take a test and you have to have a license. So when you date somebody,
education credits.
That's right. But that's just my personal agenda that I will not put on you. But I will say that that I do love the concept of, understanding that it's a package deal. And we have to put our big girl britches on and say, if this is not for me, if the package is not for me, I can't pick and choose what's going to work with a family. I just can't do it. So I think that was great. All of you, the insight you had on that was great. But thank you.
I might get some bad inbox messages on this, but honestly, I would have to say deuces. And I'm just being real.
Yeah, sure.
20 years ago, I dated someone who had 7 kids. And
God
and first, and she was a nice person, but I would have to say that if those children are baby children, there's some red flags. There's some signs that those baby children
they're getting it from
came
somewhere.
from. They
inherited some of that,
came
baby.
from somewhere. So I would have to say, honestly, where I am now, I would have to say deuces.
Yeah.
I really would, because
It's a double-edged sword, because you meet them and you don't want to go in and automatically overstep in your boundaries and start disciplining yourself.
Right.
So then it kind of gives you a perspective of who you're dealing with and her as a mom. Because if these kids are acting this way, I mean, you're not, in my book, you're not doing what you need to be doing. I'll be damned if I'm going to come in and do it for you.
Right.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's an instant turn off right there. Like, no, so I'm not even going to even get to the level where 6 months down the road, you know right off the bat. And if you got to come into a relationship with a woman who has a child and you got to start discipline right from the beginning,
something's wrong.
Yeah.
9 times out of
be
10,
right.
there's some deeper issues than that kid.
And children will test you too.
And you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
They would definitely test you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Absolutely. So, well, we have thoroughly enjoyed you. I mean, I could go on and on. I'm sure that Sharon feels the same way. We can just go on and on talking to you, because this is such an interesting topic. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who really wanted to have these kinds of questions. And that's what we're about at Create Love, is really being willing to go there and ask the questions for the people, to be the voice for the people. And that's what Love Radio will continue to do as we embark on additional interviews and conversations for the community. And so we're going to begin wrapping it up, but before we wrap it up, I like to check in and make sure there are no burning desires of things you want to say and pass on to our audience. No? Well, that's all right. That's all right. So, well, thank you so much for being here. We want to just give our listeners a little bit about what we have coming up. I think Sharon is going to talk to you a little more about that. But what I'm going to tell you about is to make sure that you visit our website, which is www.createloveforwomen.com. On that page, you can find articles. Sharon does some wonderful happy couple highlights, which is really great. Our goal is to really model community and what it means to be in relationship for the wide variety of relationships that are out there. We also do a happy single highlights. I don't know, go on there, you might find you a girlfriend. I'm just saying, I'm just saying, it won't hurt. And then also we on every Friday, Sharon and I alternate. We do articles on various topics. We have some great topics out there for you to look at, and we have great ones coming. We've done every subject. We've done sex. We love the sex articles.
Forgiveness.
With forgiveness.
Reconciliation.
We've done some innovative topics, like Sharon has a great article, 50 selling the ships of life.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about friendships, relationships, and those kinds of things. I have some articles on compassion and authenticity, how to break up successfully.
And how to make up.
And how to make up successfully. We want to talk about it all. We want to be the one-stop shop for couples and relationships. And so make sure you do that. Also on our website, you'll be able to find a link to our Facebook group, which is a secret group. But secret in a good way. Secret in a good way. Again, we have a community of over 2,300 women, and it's growing every day. It has grown by leaps and bounds, and some great conversations. We pride ourselves on having a group that is, we don't allow what you might find in some other Facebook groups, the booty pics. I mean, we like the booty, but we just don't want to see it up in the group all the time. We want to nothing wrong with a booty. Right?
Well, you and I don't know
Well,
about
thank
them.
you. Right.
We don't want to see
Thank
the booty.
goodness we're the moderators of the group and not you. So, but we have intelligent discourse and dialogue, and people reach out and make comments and share their lives. And so it's a very fascinating community to be in. So we want you to go to the website and take a look at sign up so that you can get the articles in your inbox. And now I'm going to pass it to Sharon to tell you about some of the events we have coming up, including our conference.
Yes. Well, if you're going to be in the area for Atlanta Pride, Imani and I will be leading a workshop, The 7 Keys to a Healthy Relationship. And it's going to be on August 31st, Saturday, from 10 to 2. We would love to see you. It would be at the Host Hotel. So come and visit me and Imani and learn about 7 keys that will hopefully support and strengthen your relationship. But our big shebang will be on March 8th, 2014, Create Love Conference 2014. Please come there. We will be talking about sex, Imani's very favorite subject. And we will also be talking about 7 questions or 7 issues that derail marriages. So you come there, you'll get some sex and learn about some other issues. So we hope to see you there. And we will all
sex?
no talk about sex. Not get sex.
What kind of conference we having? I'm saying I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there though.
We're going to talk about sex. We will also have around 30 vendors selling everything from books and jewelry and shoes. We will also have some organizations there that like Lamna Legal and Olivia Travel. So please come out. We will have some links on our website if you're interested in being a vendor. We will love that. If you're interested in being a sponsor, we will love that. We will also have information on the website about attending. They will, if you want to attend as a single, that's fine. You can meet your girlfriend there. Mm-hmm. We will also have opportunities for couples. So please be on the lookout for us March the 8th, 2014 at the Marriott in Decatur, Georgia. But hopefully we'll see you this next Saturday, August the 31st. In the Life Atlanta, and me and Imani would love to see you, and we would love to be able to talk more about how to have healthy, sustaining, passionate relationships. Back to Imani.
Well, that is all great. It took a little turn left with the sex at the conference, but it's all good. It's all good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just want to say a final thank you to Sonia, to Tasha, to Dee, and to Erica for sharing your time with us. We truly, truly value it, and we know that our audience will value what you've had to share with us tonight. We'd like to thank our listeners for taking the time to listen to the debut of Love Radio. We want you to continue coming back because we will have more and more for you. Love Radio, we're all about spreading the love, and we know we need more love, right? So this has been Love Radio. I am Imani Evans, and Sharon Jameson and I are your hosts for Love Radio, and we will be right back with you once again for another interview. So stay tuned, and we appreciate you.